My daughter came to me at 17 and said she was pregnant. It was a huge shock, and I was disappointed. We had safe love talks, I put her on the pill, etc., but we made it through. When my granddaughter was born, I helped my daughter and her boyfriend as much as I could. I was always told that her birth control failed, and that's why she got pregnant. Fast forward a year later, and they're pregnant once again, birth control failure. I was suspicious, but my daughter swore up and down she was taking her pills, and I was picking them up from the pharmacy for her, so it shouldn't have been a problem. I guess I wasn't the only one suspicious. Her boyfriend started doing some snooping, and one day, I come home to find he's gone, and he took the baby. My daughter is a wreck. I ask what happened. She said that he's accusing her of getting pregnant both times on purpose, is calling her crazy, and wants full custody of both kids. I got her to calm down and asked her a few times if he was right about her getting pregnant on purpose. She finally confessed. She admitted to just not taking her birth control the months she wanted to conceive and flushing them. I have never been more pissed. These pregnancies have caused our family to go into a state of disarray. We had to rearrange our whole lives. I love my grandbaby, but life is 10 times harder. Not the idiot. She can't be an adult having babies and also expect to be taken care of like a little kid. Seriously though, there are deeper issues here. What drives a 17-year-old to want to be a mother? And then to do it again a year later? I suspect that there are loads of issues going unaddressed here. Perhaps you let her move back in, but make family or individual counseling a requirement. The counseling may help untangle some of the things that caused her to think that such horrendously bad choices were, in fact, good choices. Then you can be in a better position to actually help her if you wish, or tell her she's on her own. Your daughter has proved to be a very irresponsible person and a liar. Being a single mother of 2 children at age 19 is an incredibly difficult life situation. Now she has to live with the consequences of her decisions. Since she has been living and surviving on her own, I think you should stay firm in not allowing her to move in. You're not obligated to have her living in your house, and having 2 babies move in will totally change the lifestyle of you and your spouse. If she needs financial or housing assistance, encourage her to look into government programs who often have resources for people in her situation. Not the idiot. As much as it doesn't feel right, it seems like your daughter needs to learn some hard life lessons. She lied about her birth control at least once and obviously is not aware of all the hardships these children bring when she isn't self-sufficient herself. Bringing her back into the house and on your money, I'm sure, just re-establishes the fact she isn't acting like an adult with 2 kids, but rather a kid playing mommy. I really feel sorry for all of you guys stuck in this situation. We have 2 daughters, Jody who is 26 and Hannah who is 28. Both of them are engaged to 2 wonderful men who we adore. My wife and I have saved roughly $50,000 for each daughter as a wedding fund. We aren't rich people, so it took us years of being careful with our finances to help pay for half their college and this wedding fund. We sat down with both my daughters separately to talk about their wedding plans. They did not know we had a fund for them. This was probably our first mistake. Hannah immediately said she did not want a large wedding and would rather save money for a house deposit. She was going to do a courthouse wedding followed by a reception next year. So my wife and I agreed we would give her the wedding fund for that purpose. Again, we didn't communicate any of this with her. A huge mistake in hindsight. Jody wanted a decent-sized wedding. Something the fund would have covered. My wife and I decided to pay for several of our family members from out of the country to attend. We knew it would be expensive, but we knew we were only having one traditional wedding, and we hadn't seen some close family close to 20 years. Unfortunately, the costs started going out of control and we ended up taking $15,000 out of Hannah's wedding fund to cover the difference. At the time, we felt okay doing this because the extra costs of the wedding were due to our decisions, not Jody's. The wedding happened a few weeks ago, and it was perfect. The problem now is that Hannah is aware we paid for most of her sister's wedding. She isn't aware about the costs and that we had to use some of her wedding fund. A week after her sister's wedding, she came to us and said she changed her mind after seeing how beautiful it was. That she too wants a wedding like that with all of our extended family. My wife and I had to tell her there was no way we could pay for all the extras again because we thought it'd be a once-in-a-lifetime situation. We told her we'd be giving her around $35K for a house deposit and hosting her reception at our home. Hannah had a complete meltdown and accused us of playing favorites. She left in tears. She is now telling us she's too busy to meet for dinner or lunch when she used to drop by a few times a week. This situation has now reached other members of our family who are chiming in. This has been killing us. My wife told me we should just take the other $25K $30K from our savings to make this smooth over. A part of me agrees, but a larger part of me is angry that we have to mess with our retirement just because Hannah changed her mind. And I know part of her decision change is because of the constant competition our daughters have had growing up. Am I the idiot for thinking everything should stick to the original plan? My wife disagrees with me. You're the idiot. The original plan was $50K for each of them. So Jody got 65% and Hannah got 35% of the $100K. Extra costs were due to our decisions, not Jody's. But why would you dip into Hannah's fund? Weren't you going to give her $50K for a house deposit since she was going to have a cheaper wedding? Yes, your money is your money, but you were playing favorites. If you can top up Hannah's to $50K. Until the planning was done, she had every right to change her mind about the type of wedding she wants. Additionally, you still should have kept the amounts even whether it was for a house or a wedding. You essentially punished the one for wanting a house instead of a party. No wonder they are competitive. You have to now mess with your retirement because of your decisions to spend more than the budget, not because she changed her mind. The blame lies squarely on your shoulders, not hers. You are playing favorites by being unequal with them. You're literally giving one daughter a lot more money. You should have left the other account alone, and she would have been able to use that money for a future house, or whatever. Instead, she's punished for having a more affordable wedding. Of course she's changed her mind now, she saw how great the other wedding was. You should have thought of this sooner. Don't blame your daughter, blame yourself for poor planning. I, 16, will keep this as short as possible. My mum and dad divorced when I was 4, I lived with my mum until I was 14, and my brother lived with my dad. He was 20 when I moved up to live with him and my dad. I have another older brother who still lives with my mother, but he isn't relevant in this, other than the fact I am much closer with him. I had to move in because my mother couldn't take care of me. My dad happily let me come live with him. I think the only other relevant backstory is that I have SPD, sensory processing disorder. This affects how sensitive my hearing is, high-pitched and loud sounds are almost painful for me, my sight, very quick moving objects and flashing lights can overwhelm me, and my touch, I can't stand certain textures or random unworn skin-on-skin contact. Everyone in my family knows this and is very accommodating, which I'm always incredibly grateful for. Everyone except my brother. He plays extremely high-pitched audio in my ears randomly, he'll flash lights in my eyes, he's even told his friends I love hugs so much, and I'm really happy when people randomly hug me, I'm not. It's been like this for the 2 years I've been living with him and my dad, and it's only gotten worse. Most recently, he called me to his room, saying he was hurt and needed help, and when I ran into the room, he played his speakers as loud as they could go, and turned on strobe lights that he has for whenever he goes to a party. I completely lost it, I felt like I was underwater, I remember scratching at my ears and around my eyes, but other than that I don't remember much. My dad came and helped me and told my brother not to do it again. My dad always speaks to him about it every time after, and he always says he won't do it again, but he always does. Yesterday was a breaking point for me. I'd been downstairs baking with dad when he came in and said he was having some friends over in the back garden with social distancing. My dad said that's fine, and my brother asked if he could take out his speaker and put the lights on. Dad asked me if I was okay with that, and I said yes, as long as I got plenty of notice. My brother screamed at me, saying, "Oh my god, for once in your life can you be freaking normal? I shouldn't have to warn you of anything, you're so freaking annoying." My dad asked him to stop shouting and he did, he left, and my dad asked if I was okay, and I told him why does it matter if I'm okay or not. I've dealt with this for 2 years, only 2 more, and I never have to speak to him again. My dad got upset, he is very close to his 3 brothers, my uncles, and thinks I should just forgive him to patch things up. He said he was disappointed in me for thinking about cutting my brother out of my life. I was always considering going no contact with him because of everything he's done, but after what my dad said I can't help but think if I'm overreacting to this. Would I be the idiot for cutting him out the day I turn 18? You would not be the idiot if you cut him off. People do change. Even brothers. I'm closer to my brothers now than I was as a kid. That said, it's up to you. He was 20 when you moved in. So 22 now. Time for him to grow up. He's straight up bullying you. This is one thing, when he's 12 or so, it's another when he's 22. I'm guessing your dad either doesn't realize how bad this is for you, or is deliberately trying to pretend it's not. You really should show him the don't rock the boat thread that I'm sure someone has posted by now. Not the idiot. You don't have to patch up anything, you're not the problem. Your brother clearly understands what isn't appropriate as far as sensory stuff, since he can harass you non-stop about it, so he has no excuse, except that he's a mean person. If it's so important to your dad that you and your brother have a relationship, then he needs to do better encouraging your brother to make up with you, not the other way around. If your brother can't treat you like a human being, then why should you have a relationship with him? If your dad is upset that you will be cutting all contact with him, he should be aware that some of the blame is on him. He failed to step up and prevent the abuse your brother is inflicting on you. If he wants you to ever be able to forgive your brother, he needs to actually make sure he stops that behavior and grows up to be a decent person instead of the actively abusive idiot he is now. Cutting a cancerous person out of your life is the rational and healthy thing to do. Your brother has already left you with scars that will last a lifetime. Your brother needs some harsh lessons, and so does your dad. I have a 14-year-old son, Junior. He's a pretty great kid who is normally very kind, helpful, and is just a joy. This year has been rough due to the state of the world, so my husband and I decided for Christmas we were going to update his phone and get him a PS4 Pro with a couple games he likes. We already have a few game systems, but he's been begging for a game system for his room that's solely his. We hid with all the kids' presents in our locked closet that the kids know not to go into because it has our gun safe, so major no-no in our home. A few nights ago, my husband and I went to the store, leaving the kids at home, and when we got home, Junior was mad. I asked him what was wrong, and he started going off about how he found the gifts. He was beyond angry that it was the 4 and not the 5, and that the 4 was for losers. I told him he knew he wasn't to go in our closet, no idea how he got in, we have the key on our keychains, and that a game system was a privilege, not a right. He wasn't happy with this and said he didn't want a stupid PS4. I sent him to his room to calm down and grounded him. After some discussion with my husband and no attitude change over the next few days, we decided that he would no longer be getting it. We told Junior, and he stormed off and called his grandparents. If you guessed I received an angry call, you would be 100% correct. My parents are furious with me. They think since I already bought it, I have no choice but to give it to him, and teenagers are just moody. I told them our minds had already been made up, that we raised the kids better than this. I was called a horrible parent who doesn't care about my kids. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. He did something he wasn't supposed to do, and he made it quite clear he doesn't want the PS4. Makes perfect sense to me to not give him one. Also, your son is being an idiot in regards to gaming systems. Getting a PS5 now is next to impossible, and take it from someone who worked as a game critic for a decade, being an early adopter is highly overrated. It takes a couple of years for there to be a good system-exclusive library, and companies usually come out with a better version around that time. Basically, getting a PS5 now just for the hype is bullcrap. Meanwhile, the PS4 has a great library of games, and many of them are available for cheap. It's a great gift for a gamer who isn't acting like a superficial turd. Not the idiot. Junior is 14, which is more than old enough to know how to act gracious even with gift that he might personally feel is disappointing. It would be one thing if he acted rudely when he first discovered the PS4, but the fact that he kept up his nasty attitude for days and escalated this to your parents shows he was trying to emotionally blackmail you into getting him a PS5. Punishing this terrible behavior is proper, and returning the PS4 is a proportional, natural consequence for his actions. Sounds like good parenting to me, OP. He snooped in the closet or knows he's not supposed to be in. He threw a tantrum worthy of a 4-year-old, and then he calls his grandparents to complain. Stand firm. Tell your parents that you are standing your ground and that they should take a long look back and remember when they were raising teenagers. Then tell them that if he receives a game system of any kind from them, it will be donated to charity, period. And put a new lock on the closet door for so many reasons. I am 17 and in school. My mom married a guy who has a 3-year-old son. I also have a twin brother who is 17. I feel like I've become the babysitter for my stepbrother because I'm the girl of the family. My brother is doing football and never has to babysit. But me, I had a job at a summer camp taking care of kids for some extra money this summer, and now my mom and stepdad expect me to babysit this kid for free whenever it's just us home. At first I tried really hard, making him good food, playing outside and helping him with learning to read and stuff. Keeping him busy and playing together. But it was hard because I'm in school and trying to get into college for next year. And I could only study or do applications after his bedtime, and I was never getting enough sleep. I got angry at my mom for making me the babysitter every day, and her husband and my brother not doing enough. And she had so many excuses like she and my stepfather working, my brother having football. And I have hobbies too, but I can't do them because I've become mommy number 2. Or really mommy number 1 because I spend way more time babysitting than her or anyone else. But my mom wouldn't let me go out after school and leave my stepbrother alone after preschool. I have to pick him up every day when it ends on my walk home. And I can't join the school play because of it. So I've stopped being a real good babysitter. I'll do the bare minimum to keep him safe and nothing else. No more games or reading, I do my own homework instead. I keep him quiet with YouTuber naps, or whatever. I don't cook much, but sandwiches and reheat leftovers, and leave him alone to eat or not eat, instead of giving into picky eating, and after a while of that, he stopped talking so much, his kindergarten teacher said something about his language learning regressing instead of improving. He's been acting up more around my mom and stepdad, but he doesn't tantrum anymore around me because I just leave him alone to scream it out until he tires himself out. I'm doing way better with school, and I'm finally able to get sleep, but the rest of the family is stressed a lot because of his behavioral problems that started coming up after I stopped playing mommy. Am I the idiot for stepping back and doing just the minimum so my stepbrother eats and doesn't get hurt? Not the idiot. This isn't your problem. He isn't your brother, he is just the kid of some guy your mom married. Expecting a 17-year-old to give up their life for that makes them so blatantly the idiots that what you do is minor. Now, having said that, you need to reiterate that you aren't happy with this situation, and if they want his behavior to improve, they need to leave him with a qualified child caregiver. Also, get the hell out of that house as soon as you can. The dorm room will feel really nice compared to your current living situations. Not the idiot. But you might need to talk to someone outside your house about this, especially when you mention he's begun regressing in his development. He's not your kid, and he's not your responsibility, but he is a small child who needs care. Is there a teacher or a trustable guidance counselor you could speak to and get advice from? An aunt or uncle or grandparent who could advocate for you with your parents? This situation is untenable, and it's a potential recipe for disaster in the long run.